I loved One Piece live action. I stumbled upon this video that basically breaks down all 50 changes from the anime, manga to the live action. I wanted to react to it. For the most part, I really enjoyed all of the changes they made. I thought that they condensed such a huge story down extremely well. And real quick, you might be wondering, who is this guy? Why does he care about One Piece so much? Well, I'm the current voice of Scratchman Apu in the anime dub. Before I start this video, I would like to thank Akagami Aniki for this wonderful content. Please go give them a subscribe.
These are the 50 most important and noteworthy changes and differences that One Piece live action had compared to the canon work of Eiichiro Oda. But before
I am gonna say, my one complaint, my one thing that I was a little upset about was that Gold Roger, didn't scream out, "I left it all in one piece," because I think it's like, that's critical to knowing why it's called the One Piece, right? But who am I? That's enough. That's a very slight thing. That's a very slight, I wonder if it'll even be brought up in this video, but let's go.
If you enjoyed the One Piece live action, then you better click that subscribe button, as in the coming days and weeks, we will release more videos revolving around it. Beginning with an important change that has to do with the execution of Goldie Roger. In the live action, Garp is there, present next to Roger. In the anime and manga, however,
yeah,
Garp
I kind of liked
there.
that.
When it comes to their relationship,
I'm all for it. I
anime,
love Garp.
We saw that Garp and Roger shared a rivalry that was placed more towards the mutual respect despite being rivals.
And we don't really find that out until much later, so it's like, for anybody who's in the know, it's like we already know that, so it's like, I'm cool with that. I like that we get the Garp-Roger connection earlier here.
When Luffy decided to set sail in the anime, the first thing he encountered was the exact same Sea King that took Shanks' arm. Luffy went on to punch that Sea King like it meant nothing, and went on to start his epic journey. This sequence was not included in the live action. In its place, we basically got a scene explaining how Luffy ended up in the barrel instead.
I forgot about the fact that he punches the Sea King in the face.
A change that I noticed which caught me off guard was this. In the live action, Alvida was searching for Zoro as a countermeasure for him being a bounty hunter.
But honestly, no, I liked that.
This was not the case for One Piece.
Yeah.
When it comes to the behavior and tone of the live action, well, I'm gonna say it was much more brutal than the anime. That's because we saw Alvida's attacks being much more serious than what they looked like in the anime.
I liked
that.
In
reality, the live action did it
better.
Dude,
the Zoro moment with Mr. 7 that's coming up, I love.
But a change in which I was not so sure how it would take was this one that had to do with Zoro. I mean, yeah, Zoro is cold and badass in the anime, but I kind of felt like his energy was a little different in the live action. Him flipping off Mr. 7 that came to recruit him surely deserves a mention, as this was not present in the anime. But even more than that, their fight was not shown in the anime, but rather just mentioned.
It actually makes a connection.
Zoro went on to split Mr. 7 in half, which was kind of brutal on one hand, but also onto Luffy's backstory. Did you notice any changes? Because we found quite a few, to be honest. First of all, Luffy seems much tougher and does not cry as much as the anime version. Oh, the bandits that attacked Shanks in the anime did not just stick to spilling the drinks and breaking some stuff like they did in the live action. Instead, they attacked and hit Shanks, which was actually one of the best moments showcasing Shanks' resilience and true character. Even more than that, the reason the live action went that way is because they changed Shanks' character and made him more serious and maybe even aggressive. I do have the feeling that based on Shanks' writing in the live action, if the bandits hit him, then this version of Shanks would probably have fought back. Back to the North, Luffy purposefully went to meet, free, and recruit Zoro that was captured. Luffy was already aware of Zoro due to his reputation as a pirate hunter.
I don't dislike the bar scene.
Luffy first meets Zoro in the bar, in which Zoro beats up Helmeppo for being cruel towards a kid.
We still get the
Zoro and Helmeppo was
we still get that rice ball moment. Like, it's not like it just sort of makes the connections and doesn't take the huge leaps. Like One Piece, the anime / manga, I feel like sometimes they take big leaps and they just sort of mention stuff that's cool world building, but to flesh it out and to see certain things, make certain connections a little bit more obvious, I think that's something that maybe a Western audience might appreciate a little bit more than all of these kind of Easter eggs that Oda drops in the regular. But that's just my opinion. Let's go on.
The girl that gave Zoro onigiri came much earlier in the bar sequence, instead of giving Zoro food.
But we still get the fun moment.
Zoro is a certified hairstylist. I mean, he did give Helmeppo a haircut, which was obviously something new.
He nailed that hairdo on Helmeppo, by the way.
Nope. Hold tight, because we have 35 more changes to present.
The fact that they justified Helmeppo's dumb haircut is
great.
great.
Joins the Marines. That's because in the anime, Luffy makes Kobe
he doesn't have to punch him,
Luffy hits him back, all in order to
I missed that, but
mentioned to the Marines that Kobe was
you can
not
cut
with
that.
them.
That moment isn't necessary. But then we go to get more Kobe anyway.
In the live action, however, Buggy attacks the Straw Hats after finding out they have a map for the Grand Line. Nami at this stage has already set sail with the Straw Hats.
I like
Even
Buggy.
If she wasn't an official member yet.
I really
which
do
was,
like
again,
Buggy in
a
the
significant
live
change
action.
compared. This dude is a complete menace and a complete psychopath in the live action. He's seen hating Shanks and is in no way caring about him like he did in the anime. But speaking of Shanks, did you notice that the way he lost his arm in the live action was different? In the live action, Shanks has a lot of time to react and counter the Sea King's attack, but he didn't, which caused Shanks to lose an arm. This made it seem as Shanks was basically around the same level in terms of strength with the Sea King. In the anime, however, the reason Shanks lost an arm was because he dove into the sea to save Luffy. At that moment, the Sea King attacked, and the only reason
That's hard
Shanks
to
lost an arm
stage, though.
was because
That
he
is
was
hard to
focused on
stage.
saving Luffy rather than
They
protecting
had to do it a
himself.
cleaner way.
Back to but listen to this. An even bigger change is the following. The way Zoro and Nami decided to join and fight alongside Luffy seemed a bit sudden to me. Just a few hours prior, they kept telling Luffy that they're not a crew. And
Yeah,
that they're
but you need
basically
to speed
together
things
only
up,
because
so
they were going on
it's
to the same
justified.
place. Hear this. Luffy turned down food in the live action. That was something I found very odd. As in the anime, we saw, among others,
But then he
Luffy
came back
eating
for
food
it.
off of Shirahoshi's plate.
We were doing
While
a
she was
little
also
play, a little
crying, by
fun.
the way. He sucked an entire
Little
table of
silliness.
food along with Chopper, and he also tried to eat Chopper quite a few times. So yeah, Luffy passing on food seems quite crazy to me. Once again, let's go back to the flashback of Luffy
But he
as
goes
a kid.
back
when
for the
Luffy
food,
gave his
doesn't he? Am I crazy? I think he goes back for the food is the joke. He comes back, he's like, nope, I'm gonna take the food. I love the live action One Piece almost as much as I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Back to the video.
On to Syrup Island, where the whole interaction of Usopp and Kaya is much different. In the anime, Usopp
Yeah, it is.
basically sat outside her window and told her
Usopp
stories.
gets some
In the
tongue
live
action,
however,
baby.
He goes on to be a guest inside her house, as characters like Django are missing. Usopp is
Oh,
jacked in
I
the
did
live
miss
action.
Django.
Luffy is poisoned.
That is
Zoro is
that
thrown
is a change that I was bummed about. I was like, if they cut Django, I'm gonna be sad, and I was sad about that. I mean, is it life or death? Did it affect the anime at all? Not really, but Django's like, to me, one of the best parts of Syrup Village. I just loved everything about Django, but I get it. You know, we don't have the whole Kuro, and I was fine with the way they mashed it together. I think it introduced Usopp well and Kaya
all in
well.
all, the whole plot is quite unique compared to the anime. But to be honest, I'm not complaining.
Me neither.
So let's talk about the fact that the live action made Usopp Kaya a reality, as not only Usopp was seen interested in her, they also shared a kiss before Usopp left. This was again added material.
My man.
as a kiss between them never appeared in the anime.
But
in
I
the
mean,
anime, Garp was
aren't we getting to there? Aren't we going to Usopp Kaya? Like, are we not going to be there eventually? I don't know. Feels like we might do a flash forward at the end of the whole thing. They're together, you know what I mean?
Plus, we did not see the epic moment of Zoro cutting a cannonball in half like we did in the anime. On to the introduction
get the
of
Luffy
Sanji.
balloon,
well,
though.
all I'm gonna say here is that his character trait of being a simp was kind of narrowed down, as not only does he not simp as much,
can't.
but he's also much more of a smooth talker. But when it comes to Baratie arc, another significant change.
I don't think it would have translated well. I think Sanji being as big of a simp in that way, live action, I just don't think translates as well as it can be in the cartoon way where we get the hearts and whatever. Like, I think it could come off creepy, you know? I like that change. I think that some changes are necessary when transferring from cartoon anything to any kind of animated thing to a live action. Things need to be a little bit more grounded, you know? And I didn't mind that about Sanji.
Change occurred when Luffy did not get into a fight with Don Krieg, as Mihawk destroyed him on his own in the
was
live
no
action.
Krieg,
Also,
yeah.
Garp and Mihawk
Which
were
I
in
didn't mind.
communication, which again was live action original. Also during Baratie
Krieg's such a
arc,
forgettable
there was a lot
villain.
of great. Not only that, but apparently Nami stated that she never had any friends, which made me think where Nojiko stood in all this. What that meant was that either Nami was lying, or she simply considered Nojiko family rather than a
sister.
friend.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about Zoro's injury treatment, where, as we saw, Zeph used fish skin to treat Zoro's wounds.
I thought that
This
was great.
Never shown in the anime. And even more than that, this treatment in real life was discovered relatively recently and was not known when Eiichiro Oda was writing this manga chapter almost 2 decades ago.
He would have
By
done
the
it.
end of the Baratie arc, we saw yet another change that had to do with Arlong. You see, Arlong in reality never
Arlong
visited
comes to
Baratie in the
Baratie.
anime.
Yep.
Not only that, but in the anime, the drowning scene of Luffy took
It
place
all
in
makes
Arlong
sense,
Park
though.
instead. But Arlong was not the only addition to Baratie. That's because Garp visited Zeph in the live action as well.
I
Something that
really liked the Zeph Garp interaction. That part to me was like, I was happy to see that. That part was, it was just cool. It's like these two OGs, of course they would have tangled with each other. Of course they would have known each other. In the anime manga, maybe it's canon, maybe it's not that they know each other, and we'll never probably get a chance to even explore that, but it got explored here, and I like that a lot.
The epic moment when Arlong got his hands on Zoro and witnessed his wounds was not included. Arlong went on to state that with those injuries, Zoro should not have been alive. This epic moment was unfortunately never included.
That was
in
a really epic moment. But sometimes you have to let go of the epic, awesome moments to make room for more story, especially when you're compacting so much story in that took, you know, how many hours worth into essentially what, 8 to 10 hours. It's a cool moment, but we needed to cut it for time. I'm sure the original writers wanted to keep that moment in, actually, but I get
That's
it.
because we believe we should mention some more points that the live action did not include or drastically changed. For example, Usopp's 3 kid followers never appeared.
Yeah,
this
we
is
never
also
got
the
that.
case for Chow Chow,
I was
Django
fine
the
with that.
Hypnotist,
I hate
Shanks
it.
and
Oh, I
Buggy's
love
backstory,
Chow Chow.
Emon, Usopp's goggles, Johnny and Yosoku, and even the sea cow in Arlong Park.
Other than Chow Chow, all the rest, none of those characters need to be there ultimately, and so it's like, why not just cut it, you know?
There are also some very distinct examples of difference between the live action and the anime. As we mentioned, Zoro is much more edgy and serious in the live action, while in the anime, he has many goofy and carefree moments. Sanji's simp levels were very much narrowed down in the live action.
Everybody's just a bit more grounded and real, which it's a live action, it's real, so I think it would be hard. It would be hard for me to imagine anybody trying to act that way and the show still have any kind of realism for a broad audience.
In the live action, the characteristic phrase of Luffy, "I am gonna be king of the pirates," is much more casual, while in the anime, Luffy is screaming his lungs out so that everyone can hear him. Overall, despite all those changes, the One Piece live action has been a great success, and even though many plot points were altered, the story still made sense. There was character development, and the story was highly enjoyable to watch.
Akagami Aniki. Well done. I hope that they get renewed for several more seasons because I would love to see where this all goes. Who does not want to see some Alabasta action? And overall, they had an almost impossible task of shortening these things that have so much content and so much time into this short amount of time. I think they did the best that anybody could ask them to. And if you enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and check out the video of me reviewing my favorite arcs of the early One Piece, of all of the first, East Blue arc of One Piece. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.